You're now listening to All Hogs Sports, covering all Arkansas Razorback sports, such as football, basketball, baseball, and much more. Now, here's your host for today's show, Sam Stimson.
The Hogs are going dancing. They are selected as a 4 seed to play the Vermont Catamounts in Buffalo, New York. Now they have a little bit of a late game. They've got the Thursday game on TNT at 8:20 p.m., and I'm dropping this Wednesday morning, so everybody has plenty of time to listen to the show, share it, and even drop a 5-star review. That'd mean a lot to me. Like I said, this game is in Buffalo, New York, despite Arkansas being in the West region, which makes zero sense, but that's just the way it's been, I guess. This game's played at the KeyBank Center. That's where the Buffalo Sabres play, NHL. And then the current line, as of Tuesday night, looks like it's going to be Arkansas -5. Arkansas money line is -220, and the over-under is set at 139.5. Something always about March Madness is the other team is going to be good. I mean, these are teams that won their conference tournaments and are selected as the best 68 teams in the nation. And when you have a bunch of good teams competing, fans are going to be looking for upsets to predict in their bracket. And you've probably heard a lot about Vermont, Arkansas, possibly an upset here. So I'm going to give you everything for both teams. You know, I do cover Arkansas here all season, but I really took a deep dive into Vermont, looked at their film, their games against good opponents, and things like that. Now, Vermont has been on a tear lately. Since December 10th, they beat Brown on December 10th, 70-65. They have one loss, and it's a 1-point loss in overtime at Hartford. They ran through the American East Conference Tournament. They beat NJIT. Shout out to those guys if you remember their baseball team back in there. So I guess we got to get revenge for them. But anyway, Vermont beat NJIT 98-59. They beat their next team, Binghamton, by 74-42. And then they beat UMBC 82-43. They've been on a tear lately and really ran through that American East Conference, the only single-digit loss team within that conference. And they've had huge help from one of the best players in the entire nation and American East Player of the Year, Ryan Davis, who's Player of the Year last year too, averaging 17.2 points per game, 5.7 rebounds per game, and shooting an effective 59% from the floor. Last season, he averaged 18.5 points per game. He's been incredible for this Vermont team. Now, the main thing with his game is he's really efficient off the floor. They'll involve him a lot on offense. His usage rate will be super high for this one. He's really good on the defensive glass, too. He's just a smart basketball player. Limits turnovers, gets blocks, and really affects the rebounding for his team. Despite only averaging 5.7 rebounds per game, he's one of the top defensive rebounders in the nation percentage-wise at 19.5%. And I think there's something to go for players who, don't have a high amount of rebounds, but who affect the rebound game because they're, boxing out two guys and then their team is getting the board. You can still affect the rebounding game without getting the board. He's 6'8", 250. This is going to be your big man who plays a lot for Vermont. They really don't go any taller than Ryan Davis for them. He's got a really good post-up game, though. Plus, this Vermont team has been aided huge by Davis's play. Defensively, on the glass, they're the number 1 ranked team nation. On KenPom, they've been huge there. Davis will presumably be playing against Jalen Williams. Defensively, the Catamounts run more of a man defense more than anything, switching off players. Their defense within the American East and their non-conference has been really efficient at limiting teams off the floor, especially from 2-point percentage. However, they've let teams get open from 3. They've also been pretty good at defending a lot of lower ball screens, so you'll see a lot of teams run high ball screens, and I think that's something Arkansas will look to really get involved with J.D. Note at the top of the screen. I'll get to that more on Arkansas' side, but I think Arkansas can really take advantage of this zone by attacking ball screens and such. Now, Vermont doesn't go to the line much, but other teams don't go that often. If you look at their offense in terms of free throws, 14.8% of their points only come from free throws, and then the opposing teams, only 14% of opposing teams' points come from the free throw line. You look at Arkansas, and they are top 10 in the nation on offense. 22.5% of Arkansas's points comes from the free throw line, so Arkansas definitely has to find ways to get to the line and force fouls as a team. Now, Vermont is not that athletic as a team. This is definitely American East Tournament. You're not recruiting those top guys, obviously, but they really have a lot of guys in the rotation who, play really hard, fight hard, and it makes for some nice matchups on Arkansas defensively. Now, the offense for Vermont is what's been getting a lot of talk for them. They play a really slower offense. The defense will play the same way. They'll like to, clamp down and let the shot clock go. Vermont can shoot the basketball, especially from three. The third best three-pointing team in the nation in terms of percentage. However, they don't average a high amount of threes taken per game, but they can shoot that three at 36.8% of the nation, and then off 2 points, they shoot 58.9%. So Arkansas definitely has to defend. That's been something they've been really good at all season. Man has worked out super good for Arkansas. Really efficiently wise. Arkansas is one of the best teams within the SEC. So that defense has to be there for Arkansas. And, defense never rests. It does travel. Arkansas definitely having an advantage there by having this the plus defense that they have. This team, though, can flat out shoot the basketball. They also don't turn over the ball that much. They keep good ball security. Like I was saying, from three, Davis for them shoots 42.3% from three. Their point guard, Ben Shungu, he shoots 41.4% from three. And another guy for them, Aaron Deloney, he shoots 41% from three. So lots of guys there for Arkansas to not let it get open through the perimeter. Lots of their offensive game, though, in terms of points, runs through Davis and Shungu. Davis, the center, averaging 17.2 points per game. Shungu averaging 16.1 points per game. Assist leader is power forward Isaiah Powell. He's seen the floor really good for the Catamounts this season. He's also the rebounding leader for this team. The lineup that you'll see a lot for Vermont is the lineup of Shungu at point guard, Mazzulla at shooting guard, Finn Sullivan at shooting forward, Isaiah Powell, power forward, and then Ryan Davis at center. Efficiently, Shungu and Davis create some of the best lineups here for the Catamounts. They're definitely going to be playing out there with each other for ideally, 20-25% of the game, if not more than that. This is a really well-balanced team, though, offensively. Statistically wise, they have 6 players averaging above 7 points per game. Sullivan, Mazzulla, and Deloney are all in that 7 to 8 points per game range. Isaiah Powell at 8.4, and then Shungu and Davis at the top, like I said earlier. So Arkansas's got to be physical, face guarding guys because of the offensive threats that Vermont has. Now, Arkansas really turned it on after a rough stretch in late December and early January. Within the last 18 games, they've won 15 of those. Losses were on the road to Tennessee and Alabama, both top 6 seeds within the NCAA tournament, and then a red-hot Texas A&M team in the Southeastern Conference tournament. Now, offensively, Arkansas has been aided huge by J.D. Notae. If you look at all the teams in the nation, this was a stat on Evan Maya's Twitter. If you look at all the teams within the nation, Arkansas, out of Power 6 teams, relies on J.D. Notae for scoring distribution, the second most out of any NCAA tournament team within the field. The only team higher is Johnny Davis with Wisconsin. J.D. Notae this season, averaging 18.4 points per game, has been the core of Arkansas's offense. He's been able to find open passers, and something that Arkansas has done is been able to push the ball down the court fast. They're not afraid to play in the fast break because I think this offense almost favors that. Arkansas gets a lot of mismatch and almost in a way takes guys when they find a good ISO situation. Additionally, with J.D. Notae is Chris Likes, both of those guys playing all the point guard minutes for Arkansas. K.K. Robinson will play in blowouts, but that's about it. Chris Likes normally taking up the ball when he's out there on the court, and then J.D. will be flexed over to the 2. JD does get in some foul trouble, and most of those fouls come on defense, so I'll get to that later. But both of those guys carrying the ball up the half court quickly will be huge, like I said, as you want to use that athleticism that Arkansas has over Vermont as an advantage. Additionally, scoring-wise, you've got some really good wings for Arkansas. Stanley Amude has been there all season, averaging 11.8 points per game. Dees Toney averaging 11 points a game. 2 athletic wings there. You know, Toney sometimes does struggle around the rim, but I think he makes up for it, especially if he gets going to the free throw line. And then Jalen Williams in his post-up game has him in double-digit scoring points this season. Like I said, though, athletically, Arkansas has to use that to their advantage. Toney Amude, good athletic wings who can shoot the basketball, need to use that to their advantage. Amude shooting 37% from 3, needs to be idolized as well. Like I said, Arkansas hasn't shot the three-pointer well, 49.2% as a team this season. However, in free throws attempted to field goals attempted, Arkansas is 23rd in the nation in that stat. So Arkansas needs to get to the free throw line. The better chances that Arkansas gets to get hacked and get a couple easy points will be huge. Obviously, your points per possession will be higher from the free throw line. Arkansas has done a good job of taking advantage of that. Devo Davis, I could see him playing in a little bit of this one. 8.3 points per game. You kind of see his minutes go up and down every single game. But I do like this matchup. Devo Davis, one of the most athletic players on Arkansas's team. Something that really stands out to me when I think about this is last year's game versus Colgate. Obviously, Devo played a different position, different role last season, but in that game versus Colgate, where he kind of stretched the floor in the last few seconds of the game and made a very athletic layup, and used that athleticism to his advantage to go past the bigs, I think really proves, that athletic advantage, that he can take advantage in this one. J.D. Note averaging 3.7 points per game. I think key here is got to get the offense going, shoot the basketball well for this Arkansas team. Off the floor, Arkansas averaging 49.2 effective field goal percentage, which has been about the case in most of the games this season. So Arkansas is going to push the ball and play fast, which definitely can be used to the advantage for the Hogs. Now, most of the teams since the Ken Pom era, except for 2014 UConn, have had one stat they all share. They've been top 40 offensive teams and top 22 defensive teams. Well, Arkansas just barely fits that mold at the 40th offense in the nation in Ken Pom, and then their defense is 17th in the nation. So Arkansas having both of those stats, I'm not saying it's a national championship team because Arkansas's field is very, very hard. I'll kind of get into it a little bit later, but both of those being balanced is plus for the Hogs. Now, defensively, Arkansas is a very physical team. They hold teams to a low three-point percentage, 131th in the nation, which I guess is better than you'd think after Arkansas's horrible start to the season. So statistically, below average from 3. Teams are really limited, though, especially from the 2-point percentage. The free throw attempted percentages against Arkansas is 20%. And, it's not great. It's not really that bad, though. Arkansas does, though, statistically force a lot of blocks, 11.9%, and then steals at 10.6%. That's been something that Arkansas has been good at. Steals leader on this team, J.D. Note at 2.2 steals per game. Blocks leader, no other than your man Jalen Williams, 1.2 blocks per game. And with that turnover rate comes charges. And Jalen Williams, one of the best. Actually, he is the best. I'm just going to say he is the best at taking charges in the entire nation. If he can get his feet set, take those charges, and force turnovers, that'll be huge for Arkansas. When you look at a block charge, not from a standpoint of is it going to be called a block or called a charge, from a standpoint of which one's better, I think it charges, because you automatically get the ball back when you take a charge. Block, you don't have the same percentage of getting possession of the basketball. Arkansas has to go out there and play that style of defense that they've had. The defense travels for the Hogs. It didn't travel the SEC tournament, and Arkansas has to figure out how to get J.D. Note back on track defensively after that rough game he had in the SEC tournament. Foul trouble has been a thing for him this season. when he gets into foul trouble with 2 in the first, you usually bench him. Arkansas was so desperate last game that we had to play him with 2 in the first, and he got 3, and then he doesn't play that style of J.D. Notae defense, because when you're playing with more